ChatGPT Plus is free for college students through May. Here's the thing. You've got a lot to do between now and then. Studying for finals, writing papers, trying to keep your life on track, and ChatGPT can help with all of it. It can quiz you for your econ exam, make a study guide from your French notes, plan out your meals and study breaks. It can get really specific on how you like to learn. It can even help you come up with ways to stop procrastinating. So from now until summer break, take advantage of all the ways ChatGPT can make your life easier. Restrictions apply.
What is Café Mocha? Café Mocha is experts, celebrities.
What's up? This is Belle Biv DeVoe.
Yours truly, Idris Elba.
This is Fantasia.
This is In Vogue.
This is India Ari.
So much more. All from a woman's perspective.
What flavor are you, baby?
This is Café Mocha.
Café Mocha with Emmy Award-winning talk show host Lonnie Love, hip-hop legend Yo-Yo. I'm the producer, Angelique. Happy Mother's Day weekend. Our guest is Reverend Al Sharpton. So yeah, we're going to talk politics. Sinners, 2 weekends at #1 at the box office. Last weekend, it earned double what Ben Affleck's movie, The Accountant 2, made. And what disturbs me about this is the press. You know, the press always has something to say when it comes to some black stuff. I mean, it's written, directed, produced by a black man, Ryan Coogler. It stars black people, even though there's some white people in there as well. And the coverage for this is really downplaying the success of this movie. I know you've seen the coverage, Lonnie. I know you have seen the tweets and all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
First, explain.
What happened was when Sinners was released, it was a Ryan Coogler film. Variety, the first article they put out was, oh, it only made this much. And, we don't know if it's going to make, it was a very negative headline. And what I loved about, sometimes I really do love social media because social media got on Variety. I mean, they took that headline. They said, really, this is what you're doing? This
right.
is, And so immediately the next headline was much more positive, saying how much money that it made, how it's going to go international. And it's and really the film has been reviewed as a great movie. It's a beautiful movie that they shot it in IMAX, and the way that Ryan Coogler shot it, he shot it on film, which gives it a different flavor. And it is something that should be seen in a theater. So now the thing was they tried to make an issue. First, they made an issue about that. Then they tried to make the issue out of Ryan Coogler's deal with Warner Brothers. They're like, oh, he wanted final cut, as in he wanted to see the final draft and have final approval. Oh, he's getting a cut of the gross of the movie. Oh, what else? He wants a lot of money for the budget. And Coogler was on some show last week, the week before. Democracy Now. And he was like, I don't know what the big deal is. I mean, people make these deals. He's like, I've been in this business for a long time. This style of a deal is not new. So I don't know why the press is making such a big deal about it. And of course, he does know why. I mean, one of the people who got that kind of deal was Quentin Tarantino for that Hollywood. What was that movie called, Lonnie? Once Upon a Time. Yeah.
In Hollywood with Brad Pitt and whoever else.
Yeah, it was Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Quentin Tarantino always makes these deals. But what I love about what Ryan Coogler said was that he basically said it without saying it. He said, I know my worth. This isn't anything new. Why are we making a big deal? Because it's my deal.
Right.
And what people are, because some people are trying to label that, oh, he got this deal and it's going to hurt Hollywood and it's going to change the way, studios do films and things like that. Guys, got to understand something. Ryan Coogler has made 2 Black Panthers. He's made Creed. He made Fruitvale Station.
3 Creeds. Fruitvale Station.
When he made those 3 Creeds, he was $200,000 in the hole. He was not making money off of those movies, but they were successful movies.
Right.
So when he got this deal, he did it so that he would be able to
live off of his movies, and that's what he did. So it isn't anything new, but it's just because it's Ryan Coogler, who is a brother. Everybody, I think, is just trying to make a
A
deal
big
out of
deal
it,
out of
and
it.
it's not. It's just really, really not. So
I wonder though if some people don't know his name and don't know him the way we know a Quentin Tarantino, or Spike Lee, or Tyler Perry.
but no, you know what? No, no, no. I'm not going to even say that, Angelique, because there are a lot of directors we don't know their names,
That's true.
and they're white directors. We
And
don't know their
they
names,
making their money.
and they making their money, and they make their money, and they quietly make it, and ain't nobody putting out think pieces about why is his deal structured this type of way.
And
So
ain't nobody counting their money.
right, nobody's counting the money. So I
I'm just playing devil's advocate here, because maybe it's something else, but I know it's because he's black. Everybody knows it's because he's black. And we
well,
can't have nothing because we black.
well.
We ain't allowed to be successful. We ain't allowed to have nothing.
What I love about the fact of, like even the noise shot down because Centers opened on Easter weekend, so there were people that, oh, it's dark. Yeah, I'm not going to see something named Sinners, and I'm not going to. Y'all go to all types of movies. Now all of a sudden we gonna be, oh, it's dark and it's this and it's yeah, please.
Right,
It's a
right,
movie. It's
right.
imagination. If you like a horror, psychedelic, I mean, even Tom Cruise gave his review. He went to see it with his little ticket stub and his thumbs up. I said,
Okay,
okay,
nice. Thanks for the support.
Tom.
But for people who think it's super scary and it's a real horror movie, how horror movie is it? I mean, I like vampire movies, so I'm good on that. But what about, the other stuff? Is it
I
too
mean,
much?
if you don't like horror movies, it's fine. First of all, y'all, you don't have to go see a movie. What I always tell people, I think we put this pressure on our communities. You have to go see it because it's black. No, go see the movie because it's good, because it's beautiful, because it's a good product. I'm tired of this. We have to support. We have to, let's just put out good product. And that is what Ryan Coogler did. He put out a beautiful film. It's a beautiful product. And people that enjoy that type of movie will enjoy it. And if you don't,
Hmm.
fine. But my whole thing is just because it's not your flavor, don't write a think piece on that.
Right.
We don't need you. It's a lot of movies y'all don't. There's certain movies I don't like to go see. There's certain period. I like period pieces. Everybody don't like period pieces. I do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So everybody has their type of movie that they like, but it's like that's the only thing that upsets me is when it's our type of movie, then it's like, okay, we got to do a big think piece and everybody's talking about it. And that to me kind of hurts the movie.
All right, so go check out the movies. On the way, we got Reverend Al Sharpton.
Standing in solidarity from a woman's perspective. It's Café Mocha.
It's Cafe Mocha, celebrating 15 years. Angelique, Lonnie Love, Yo-Yo. On the line is Reverend Al Sharpton. You can catch him on Politics Nation on MSNBC weekends at 5 p.m. Welcome back to Cafe Mocha.
Well, thank you. Glad to be back.
It's a lot going on, Reverend Al. First of all, let's talk about the meeting that you had with the Target CEO, if we can. How did that go, and what are your feelings about the boycott now?
Well, I think that that what we had said coming out of National Action Network's convention was that we were going to target certain companies. Pepsi-Cola was one. We gave them 21 days to meet, and they agreed to meet in 10 days. The next day, I got a call from the CEO of Target, and I know that there were some people in Minneapolis and in Atlanta that had started a boycott on them, and he said he wanted to meet with me, and he had met with other civil rights groups that had a national base, And I said, well, I'll call you back. I called Reverend Brian in Atlanta that I knew was doing the 40-day boycott fast, and asked him, do you want me to meet or not meet? He said, no, meet. I haven't gotten to meet with the CEO. So I said, all right, if you'll come, I'll do it. And they met here in my office, me and my chairman of the board, saying that we wanted them to do what the demands were from all of the groups that are targeting them. National Action Network's not taking the lead on that, but we are supportive of that, and had the meeting. And then the follow-up they were going to do. So we're still focused on following up our meeting with Pepsi on whether we're doing a boycott there. We're supportive of what is going on with Target. I hope these groups are united and get together so that we all can speak with one voice. And lastly, I think that it is important that we understand that while all of this is going on, these companies are still selling their product in our community. And if the worst thing that can happen is them to feel like they can cut us out and we not respond by saying, fine, you don't want diversity in the corporate world, in your corporate suite, then you shouldn't have diversity with your consumer market. Now, the thing we have done is say, let's reward those that are doing right. So we started what we call boycotts. I brought 200 people to a shop at Costco's. Costco said, we will not stop DEI. We brought them in Newark, New Jersey with Mayor Ras Baraka. We did it here in Harlem. We did it in several other places. We've been marching since last year, every Thursday, on Bill Ackman, who started the fight against DEI and forced a black woman president of Harvard University out of place of occupation. So we've been on this over a year before anybody, because as soon as she was fired, we started marching on Bill Ackman on 11th Avenue every Thursday, and it has cost some of his business. So we're going to stay on this, but we hope we can have different organizations, different routes, different paths, but let's stay on the same direction.
It's Café Mocha talking to Reverend Al Sharpton. Pastor Jamal, in one of his services, said that the Target boycott is working, that, stuff is going down and other stuff is rising. How much of an effect is this having on Target?
You'd have to ask him. Again, okay. I just outlined to you what National Action Network's doing. I gotcha. Do not know.
Okay.
I had him in that meeting, and beyond that, I have not really talked with them on following up.
Reverend Al, though, let's go back, because the history of the boycott. And for a lot of our younger listeners, can you give just a little bit of the history of how a boycott can actually help? I know it seems like crazy, but there are a lot of young people that maybe don't understand what it takes to be successful, and why a boycott like this of anything can actually be successful.
Yeah, well, you asked the right question, because they can be successful if they're doing right. If they're done right, they cannot be successful if they're done just as a press release. A boycott I grew up in Operation Breadbasket, which was the economic arm of Martin Luther King's organization. I was 12 years old, and I was already a boy preacher, so I became youth director of New York chapter under Jesse Jackson. Dr. King had already been killed, so I didn't know him. I saw him a couple times when I was a kid, but I didn't know him. And I learned that if you target a certain company, first thing you do is you do research information. Do we buy a lot of this product? How much of their gross sales come out of our community? Then you say, what is the realistic things we want that company to do? Then you try to meet with them, lay it out. If they say no, then you come back and say, can we hurt them? Now, how's that determined? If they have 30% of their products come from our community, and the company exists on a 3 to 5% margin of profit, then we don't have to stop everybody from shopping at company A. If we just stop 7 out of 10, he's operating in the red. And if we can keep people from shopping there longer than he can operate in the red, it makes them come to the table and do what wants to be done. It's using economic leverage. What I've told some of the media is, if y'all understand what Donald Trump's talking about with tariffs, that y'all gonna give us a better deal, or we going up on the prices, this is a black version of tariff. Y'all gonna do the right thing, stay with diversity, equity, or inclusion, or we gonna go with a black tariff. We're not gonna shop with you. I don't have to get every black. I don't have to get every Latino, just enough to see how long you can go without that income. And that's why the boycott concept works and has worked in the past, because the main objective of people in business is to stay in business. And no CEO and no stockholder can survive if they're operating in the red. It's just business. It doesn't mean they love us. It means we love ourselves, and they're going to have to do business with us in a reciprocal way.
Love it. It's Cafe Mocha on the line, Reverend Al Sharpton. You can catch his show, Politics Nation, on MSNBC weekends at 5 p.m. Reverend Al, for people that are going, through this life and this administration, what can people do to keep their spirits up? What can they do if they feel hopeless? Because there's so much going on with the tariffs, with the DEI, with the immigration. In your opinion, what should we be looking out for? What can listeners do?
I think that the first thing we need to do is remember who we are. When we were brought here, we as African Americans, brought here and enslaved in 1619. We were stripped of everything. We did not even know our names. We were stripped of our families. One mother sold to Alabama, daddy sold to Florida. Never to reunite the families until 264 years later. We had no rights anyone was bound to respect by law. It was against the law to even teach us how to read and write. So if we survived all of that, didn't know our real name, didn't know what happened to our family, couldn't read and write, if we survived all that, we can survive Donald Trump. This is many of us, I think many of our people now are forgetting what we struggled through. Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks and them did a Montgomery bus boycott in the 50s. When they didn't have social media, they never even knew what a cell phone was. And they in the deep South against whites that by law had them sitting in the back of the bus. By law, they couldn't use a toilet downtown. They couldn't eat in restaurants. If they can take a rotary phone and fight back and organize, and we got all 60 ways of communicating, from TikTok to Instagram to 2 cell phones in your pocket. The problem is not that these forces against us are stronger, is that we've gotten weaker. We need to start using our own ways of communicating and using our dollar. Yes, they have the White House, they have the majority of the Senate and the majority of the Congress, but they can't tell us how to spend our money. And we got to use what we have, which is the only way we've survived these 400 years. And quit having pity parties, because the thing that I think we've got to tell people, and I tell people is everywhere I go, they don't care. You can pity party all you want. You can talk about I'm dropping out of it, I'm tuning out, it's too much. You can't tune out. This is your job. They talking about taking money out of Medicaid and Social Security. You can tune out, and when you tune back in, you are not going to have anything left. It's time for us to get strong again and fight back.
Well, I feel like the Democrats aren't doing anything. I understand our responsibility as, citizens, but it just seems like the Democrats just rolled over and like, whatever. I mean, what's going on with them?
Well, I think, well, you'd have to ask them. I mean, I don't hear the Democratic Party. I hear National Action Network. I think that we didn't depend on the Democratic Party to end slavery. We didn't depend on them to end segregation. We didn't depend on them to end affirmative action. The stuff we've done around the country, from Howard Beach all the way to George Floyd. We didn't wait. Democratic Party didn't call me and George Floyd. Floyd's family did. So I think that we've got to stop waiting on either party. What the Democrats have done, which is better than the Republicans, they did in reaction to our moving. They were not the movement. And I think a lot of us is expecting people to do for us what we have to do for ourselves. Kennedy reacted to Dr. King. He didn't send Dr. King. And Lyndon Johnson reacted to them. We need to put enough heat on them with boycotts, with rallies, with moving forward, and using media to put the pressure on them. What are they doing now? You see whites, mostly older whites, all over the country marching and going to these town hall meetings, turning them out on Republicans. They're standing up. They're not waiting on the Republican Party to tell them what to do. They're jumping on the Republican Party. That's what we have to do. We cannot expect anyone to do for us what we need to be doing for ourselves.
Right. Now, Reverend Al Sharpton, can you talk to us a little bit more about what your National Action Network is doing right now, and how can we join?
We are involved certainly in dealing with fighting back those that are against DEI. We are also on tour now, mobilizing. We're going to do a big march to challenge the corporate world. August 28th, anniversary of the March on Washington, but we're going to do it on Wall Street because we're going to say to the private sector what I've said to you as we go company by company. We your margin of profit. We're going to go target you unless you do what is right in terms of jobs, contracts, deposits in black banks, etc. And we are still dealing with criminal justice. We are still fighting police brutality cases, racial profiling cases, gun violence. A grandmother, was killed just last week in Harlem. We embraced her family, brought them to our Saturday rally. We rally every Saturday in Harlem, and taking care of making sure she's buried with dignity and standing up against gun violence. So people can go to www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, and see our activities and join. I was in Detroit yesterday with our chapter there under Reverend Charles Williams. We're all over the country. It's time for us to just stand up and fight back. That's the only way we ever made progress in this country.
Reverend Al Sharpton hosts Politics Nation weekends at 5 p.m. on MSNBC. The conversation continues on Café Mocha.
We're at Café Mocha Radio. Socially savvy on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Serving up more Café Mocha on the way. Standing in solidarity from a woman's perspective. It's Café Mocha.
Café Mocha, the legendary Al Sharpton is our guest. Lonnie, go ahead.
Well, you're also a reverend, because that's why we call you Reverend Al. And I was reading that Wendy Williams called you to pray about her guardianship battle. Is that true?
Yeah. Wendy called me last Thursday, I believe it was. And it was funny, I had just finished my radio show, and a number came up on my cell phone I didn't know. I didn't answer it, and they called 2 or 3 times. I finally answered it, and I said, hello. They said, is this Reverend Al? I said, yeah. They said, Wendy Williams. She had found an old phone in some of the packages they had brought her and was trying people whose old number she had. She had my number from years ago. I'd done a radio show when she was at WBLS New York. I used to do a TV show. And she told me what was happening with her and that she couldn't see people. I said, well, tell them you want a clergy visit. I've been York minister advisor for a long time. They couldn't deny her that. I went, met with her, had prayer with her. I'm talking to her lawyers to find out what is the legal way we can help with the things that she's complaining about. I'm not going to outline them to break her confidence, but she's raised some issues that disturb me, and her lawyers are pursuing that, and I intend to help Wendy. Wendy has been a cultural figure in our community, and I think that, you know, a lot of times when people call me with big names, it makes the press, but it's little people that we do every day. But like she and I was talking, I preached Michael Jackson's funeral. I preached James Brown's funeral. I just did Roberta Flack. So I'll deal with the entertainers as well as the celebrities. But it is the George Floyd that nobody knew about, and all the way back to Trayvon that we spend most of our time on.
It's Cafe Mocha with Lonnie Love. Yo, I'm Angelique. We're on with Reverend Al Sharpton. One of the things that I'm concerned about is erasing history. When you look at the Smithsonian, when you look at some of the choices that the administration has been making on websites, like pulling major figures off the websites as if they don't exist. Any thoughts about that other than it's crazy?
Yeah, I think that it is crazy. It is anti-democratic. And we certainly, I think that the Legal Defense Fund and ACLU, other legal groups, are going into court to try to enjoin that. It is illegal. They're also taking people's personal information. Doge, which Elon Musk was heading up. And why do you need my personal information? Where is this being processed? Where is this going to? So I think that we've got to have, that's why I said that different roads or different lanes, rather, that we all do. Some are on the legal side of fighting, some are in the marching and protest and raising the media spotlight on issues. Some do social service. So as long as we all do what our lanes are, we can strengthen each other. I support what Legal Defense Fund and them are doing to fight these things in the courts. And there are some successes, even on this deportation thing. This whole thing of being able to grab somebody and take them out of the country, put them in a jail in El Salvador, and never give them due process. Well, they can do that to anybody. People talk about, no, I'm not from another country. If you walking down the streets where I come from in Brooklyn, how does somebody know the difference between you and a Haitian or a Guyanan? We all look the same. You can grab me and say, figure it out later if there's no due process.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And before we let you go, Reverend Al Sharpton, let's talk about Politics Nation on MSNBC weekends at 5 p.m. You know, you hanging in there because they let a lot of people go, Reverend Al. How's this show going?
Yeah, well, I've been fortunate. I've been there. You know, when I started that show in 2011, people said he ain't gonna last 3 months because I don't come from that background. And I told them, I said, well, I'm going to do the best I can as long as I can be Al Sharpton. They said, and if you watch my show, I give my opinion. It's an opinion show. And I've been there now 13 years. This August will be 14 years. And I've seen a lot of people come and go. I thank God I'm still there, but as long as I'm there, I'm going to stand up for what I believe and continue to do in the fights that I believe is necessary in our country.
And you still keeping that weight off, Reverend Al. Al, I need help. I need prayer on that. I need prayer for my weight.
I changed my diet. I get up and work out every morning, so I'm struggling with it, but I'm still ready for the fight. I'm still slim and trim.
You look great too, and I love the dancing all the time. So.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much, Reverend Al, for joining us on Cafe Mocha. We always love when you stop by. You all make sure you watch Politics Nation on MSNBC weekends at 5 p.m. Also, the National Action Network. Make sure you check in, join, be a part of it. Like Reverend Al says, don't be scared. Be a part of it. Thank you, Reverend Al.
God bless all of y'all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Reverend Al Sharpton, founder of the National Action Network. You can get involved at nationalactionnetwork.net. Currently registering people for the March on Wall Street coming in late August. Go to nationalactionnetwork.net to get registered. This is Cafe Mocha.
Here's your dose of espresso. Strong, hot news now.
This is the Espresso. Jury selection for P. Diddy Puff Daddy Combs has started.
Last week, federal prosecutors offered Combs a chance to plead guilty for a reduced sentence. He turned down that offer.
Pastor T.D. Jakes has just passed the pulpit to his daughter, Pastor Sarah, and her husband, Pastor Touré.
I have seen too many men build something and stay so long that they kill what they build. I cannot afford, especially after November, to risk something happening to me.
Kerry Washington stars in the movie Shadow Force about a married couple who are international spies.
They kind of escape the unit that they're a part of, and they get in a lot of trouble for going AWOL. And when they disappear, they realize that they're not able to really be undercover because the rest of the shadows are looking for them.
That's the espresso.
This is Café Mocha. Radio from a woman's perspective.
It's Café Mocha with Lonnie Love. Yo, I'm the producer, Angelique.
I also quickly want to mention that there are some other Black films that are coming out. Golden is coming out in May. It stars Pharrell Williams, and
I love it.
It's like a coming of age film, so it's called Golden. Okay, so you'll be seeing like a press tour probably of Pharrell and doing that. It's whimsical, it's storytelling, it's a different type of movie. So we're gonna hear about that. Also, you have F1, which is coming out in June.
Oh, that's the racing movie, right?
Yes, Damson Idris, Brad Pitt connecting F1, a high-octane drama speeding into the theaters. It stars. I'm so happy for Damson Idris because
He's the guy from
he's
hang on.
from Snowfall.
Yeah, the lead in Snowfall.
But to have Brad Pitt, with Damson, Damson is great.
That's a big deal.
It's a real big deal.
That's a big deal.
We have this untitled Kendrick Lamar comedy. It's Kendrick Lamar, Trey Parker, and Matt Stone. Those are the people from South Park. They joined forces for an untitled live action comedy hitting theaters July 4th.
Oh, boy.
So that should be interesting.
Oh, boy. Absolutely. I love them because they, first of all, they've had South Park on for 1,000 years, but they just put it out there. They don't discriminate against anybody. Everybody's going to get it.
Everybody. They make
Everybody's going to get it.
You know what else is coming up, Angelique? Michael. Antoine Fuqua directs Michael, the highly anticipated biographical musical drama about the life and legacy of Michael Jackson. But that won't be until October. So Michael Jackson's nephew, Jafar Jackson, stars as Michael, alongside Coleman Domingo as Joe Jackson, Kat Graham as Diana Ross, and Kendrick Sampson as Quincy Jones. So that one's going to be very interesting. Then in November, Wicked for Good comes back out. This is the second part to the first Wicked. With Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. So, I also want to say that if you ever go to New York, there are a bunch of Black plays that are out. And that's the one thing I will say that we have to support. Those, if you go to Broadway, if you go to New York, catch a play, because a lot of those plays, like you have Hell's Kitchen, which is based on
Alicia Keys' early days.
And which is a very good musical. And then you have Death Becomes Her, which has Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child.
Gypsy Rose. That now stars Audra McDonald. She stars as Gypsy Rose.
How could you forget Audra McDonald? Oh my God.
You know what? I just saw her too. She did a one night only thing. She was fabulous.
Oh yeah, she's always fabulous.
The third annual HBCU First Look Film Festival is coming soon. It's an HBCU film competition. Categories include feature film, short film, mobile film, animation, documentary, family and faith, or health and wellness. If you've got a film, submit it. You could win as much as $5,000. Just go to hbcufirstlook.com.
Want a little more of our flavor? Stay right there. It's Café Mocha.
It's Café Mocha with Lonnie Love. Yo, I'm Angelique. All right, Lonnie, what's on your mind?
There's a lot happening, politically.
Do we have to talk about political stuff?
No, we're going to talk about something that is going to affect a lot of people.
Okay, go ahead.
And that is the Real ID. A lot of people don't know that in May, the TSA is going to enforce if you want to travel domestically in the United States, that you have to have this real ID, which is either a driver's license or it's a ID that has like a certain star on it, and you have to go to the DMV for it.
Why?
And
Why? I mean, the driver's license has been fine for all these years. Why all of a sudden we have to have a real ID?
Nancy can't use your ID anymore.
yeah, you won't be able, you can use, in order to fly domestically, if you have a passport, you can use your passport, but a lot of people don't have passports. So I'm saying if you travel and you usually use some type of ID, government state ID or driver's license, it has to be real ID compliant.
Or you won't be able to fly.
You won't be able to travel domestically. So what you have to do, and this is May the 7th, they
That's
must
very
be
soon.
real ID compliant to board domestic flights and access certain federal facilities. Okay? So this is what they're saying. This is through Homeland Security. So what you have to do is go to the DMV, your local DMV, and some of the DMVs, they're having special sections and stuff like that because they know that everybody's going to be now applying and trying
Doing
to
it
get that
last
real
minute.
ID.
Even though
But
they've been telling us for years. I'm
yeah,
not.
and basically you have to have like a some type of mail with your address on it, and you have to also show, it's like three things that you have to show. I did mine's like maybe 2 years ago to get a real ID. So you have to set up an appointment or go to the DMV. You have to show these certain documents like a payroll slip with your address that you're currently living in and everything. And then that way you'll get a whole new ID. It has this star on it and you'll be able to travel. If you don't, if you have a passport, you can use your passport. But I'm saying everybody don't have a passport. So make sure you have the real ID.
Okay, so what it says is proof of identity means date of birth, which I guess means birth certificate, social security number, and it says two proofs of your actual residence. And then the DMV office, you have to apply in person.
Yep, that's it. So you have to apply in person. This is something that it passed in 2005, and so now it was enacted in response to the 9/11 terrorist attacks to increase safety and make IDs harder to falsify.
That's
That's the
bull.
reason why they're doing
That's
it.
bull. I'm not getting one. And that's bull.
You ain't gonna be able to fly unless you use
I
your
got a passport. Screw them.
Okay.
This
All
is
right.
some nonsense. I already know it. All these years we've been using a driver's license. Our driver's licenses have all kinds of stamps. It's got a QR code. It's got all kinds of stuff that keeps it from being falsified. And now all of a sudden we need another ID. And
Well,
what's
there was that one time. There was that one time somebody took my ID and it wasn't me.
what happened? What happened?
They falsify these IDs that you go downtown, some cities, and
Oh
they're
yeah,
remaking these IDs.
that's
So you have
true.
people traveling. You have somebody. I mean, my mom just got a whole Spectrum kit at her house. She said, I didn't order Spectrum. So you have a lot of people who are really coming to this country, falsifying other documents. So I guess this is their way of kind of like chowing down. I mean,
Bingo.
Rebel,
And I'm just going to tell the truth. It's really just to keep the people that aren't here legally from being able to fly from state to state to state, which US, they be driving. They ain't flying anyway. But what kills me about this is that of the proofs of identity, I don't see a driver's license anywhere. You can bring your birth certificate, you could bring your social security card, but it says nothing about unless valid permanent resident card. What's that?
It's
Is that a driver's
simple. All
license?
you do is bring the two pieces of paper, and then after that, you're real ID compliant. I'm just letting people know because I don't want May 7th to come and y'all get up there to that gate and they
Mm-hmm.
turn y'all away and y'all like, you take
it's
me.
a fight in the terminal. It's a fight in the terminal.
They trying to get down to the Disney resort down in Orlando. and they ain't got their daggone real ID, y'all gonna be driving.
Exactly.
Nice.
So make sure you have it. May the 7th. Make your appointment now for real ID. This is Café Mocha.
If you want to hear the full conversation with Reverend Al Sharpton, just go to our podcast at mochapodcastnetwork.com. mochapodcastnetwork.com. That's the show. I'm Angelique along with Lonnie Love and Yo-Yo. Until next time, you can find us on all platforms at Café Mocha Radio. Café Mocha is a production of Miles Ahead Broadcasting in partnership with Super Radio. Executive producer Sheila Eldridge. For comments, booking, or more information, visit cafemocharadio.com.